Now, operatives of the Maiduguri Zonal Command of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission have arrested 21 trucks loaded with food and non-food items leading towards the Republic of Chad, Central African Republic and Cameroon. According to a statement by the command's head of media and publicity, Dele Oyewale, the trucks were intercepted during an operation on the major exit routes along Kalabiri, Gamboru Ngala and Bama roads in Borno. The EFCC says the arrested suspects are being profiled and would be charged to court on conclusion of investigations. Joining us in the studio is public health expert, publisher, health thinker, Tui Mebangodu, and public affairs analyst, Sheson Okwande. Gentlemen, it's good to see you this morning on the Breakfast Show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And it's just safe to say that the current economic situation is not taking toll on you guys because you're looking, amazing.
When you are associated with an health expert that give you guidance. And I think the fundamental thing he told me the last time was just put a smile on yourself.
Absolutely.
Encourage yourself all the time.
And then you feel good. Fine. Right. So in all of these, some majority of Nigerians are actually, reeling from the impact of the food crisis, economic hardship, etc. What do you make of this, latest development? Let me start with you, Sheson Okwande. The issue of, trucks that are being, trucks laden with food and then taking it out of the country. Why do people actually want to do that? Would you say it's based on economic reasons?
Yeah, if you ask the question, why would people want to do that, it's surprising because it's not something that is just starting now. It's been happening for a while. They are used to it. It's a means of livelihood for them. The reason why we are hearing all this interception here and there is because there's scarcity in the land. And when you are in a business that generates revenue for you, as a capitalist, you undermine what happens to your indigent, to the citizen. So, when people come out to say, we are intercepting this, so much drugs, you ask yourself, is this something that is just starting now? Or something that we've been experiencing before now, that because of the scarcity, if in a now, let me just use in a family setting, your daughter has been moving your food and giving to his boyfriend, who she loves so much, and has been having some gain. When you are in love, there are gains attributable to it. But all of a sudden, the father missed or, is not having his job as is expected to be. And someone that will always have a bag of rice at home suddenly struggle, to get a quarterback. I'm sure you definitely know. But for the lady, she's already in love, making so much money, so she'll be used to giving out the food for free. So this particular thing that we are just looking at, it's not something happening today. I'm sure you saw what Fisayo, the investigative journalism, came out with on this custom of a thing. It's a norm that has been carried, that is being perpetrated by this so-called business cabal in moving out food. It is the scarcity in the land that is actually exposing. I'll ask the question, is it now EFCC knows that they have to track that particular road? I'm sure it's based on information that they're actually plowing that area. The other time we had about customs season, about 141, and you ask yourself, if this has not been the norm, are we going to be having that number? As far as they are concerned, they are carrying out their normal businesses.
That's right.
Because there has not been check and balances on them. And they are used to it. So, my call here is, it's not a game that is just starting. It is the scarcity in the land. When there is arbitrary break in the flow of money to an individual, you put up your thinking cap and look at areas where you can block. That's what we're saying.
Right. Tui, it's just like I asked them, Sheson, it's, some would definitely argue that it's based on economic reasons, because if you look at Nigeria's currency against the CFA and all other, countries surrounding the country, for instance, one is just about 2 times to 1 naira. So how would you Is there any justification for the reason why some of these people are doing this?
Let me just reiterate what Sesson said. We put a kind of pencil to draw boundaries in the northern Nigeria. Those boundaries don't exist. Okay, because if you look at those people, they have relatives across the border in those countries you're thinking, and you know that route, the Borno to Chad to Mali and Co. and Cameroon, it's been a trade route from time immemorial. Okay, it's a very big trans-Saharan trade route. So these guys, they've been moving. It's not just the fuel or the oil that we're subsidizing in the whole of Africa as it is. We're subsidizing food also, because a lot of food is being produced there and taken to those deserts, to be consumed. Yeah. And it's a business for them. The other time, 32 routes, 32, pathways of smuggling in Ilela alone, that's right, according to Shetima, the vice president. And they got 52 trucks. When the trucks were stopped and the food returned to the market, the price of maize crashed. So this one has been on perpetually. Now, the accentuation came because, one, the cost of living crisis, okay? Even if the foods are available here, people are not having sufficient money to purchase those
But
food.
do you not see these people as sabotaging the economy? No, it's not. The reason being that there is not enough in the country. No, and if you're now having to take it, should you not prioritize the livelihood of your own people against, your own economic reasons? Hold on.
You see, this concept of scarcity, yes, there's challenge with production. Okay, if you look at the whole value chain from farm to storage to harvesting and all those things and transportation, it's a big, there are a lot of issues along that chain. But let's face it, there's no money. It's the cost of living crisis. The cost of living crisis is not just about Nigeria. The instability, climate change, and then the war in Ukraine, all these things, and even the cost of power. These are factors that contribute to the cost of living crisis in Nigeria. And even as worse as it is in Nigeria, in quotes, we're still number 24 in Africa. We're doing better than Ghana, better than Kenya, better than Rwanda, better than Senegal, better than Ethiopia. A lot of countries, we're still number 24. Okay, so it means that if you're going to live in Ghana, you spend more. Okay, so but the narrative is now that people are not having sufficient money, even the money they have, they can't buy all they need to buy. But these guys have established their trade route for a long time. And of course, if you're looking at food security as it is now, of course, we've seen about 48 countries, more than 300 million people are presently food insecure. Okay? Nigeria is about 26 million in Africa. Okay, that's the problem. We have malnutrition, 9 million children, and about 3 million severe acute malnutrition happening presently in Nigeria. And of course, food is both health, it's both security, it's both country determinant of a lot of things in the country. So the customs, they've been used to all those things. It's just they used to pass again. So but we should beware of cheap narratives that says that, we have just done this, EFCC. Sometimes I wonder what's the limit of EFCC. If customs people are doing their job exactly, and they're monitoring those borders, immigration are doing their job, all we're seeing now in Ministry of Internal Affairs Ministry is passport. They are issuing passport. A lot of work that's supposed to be done at those periphery, at least to ensure to secure the border, is not being done. But again, Northern Nigeria is not just Northern Nigeria by that pencil you used to draw Nigeria. It extends far, far, far into more than six countries, up to Sudan.
Sheson, the Senate is trying to profile some sort of solution and is asking the federal government to introduce the Nigerian version of food stamps, the food stamps program, as interim intervention to cushion the impact of, the effect of food shortages in the country. How do you see that kind of idea being touted by the Senate?
Yeah, well, brilliant idea, and I will always tell you that Nigeria has never been short of ideas. It's when it comes to implementation, and in my local dialect, they will tell you it's when you see the calabash, you'll be able to identify where it is. Put the stamp, it's when it's available, you'll know that this is what belongs to us. Haven't we seen situations where in this country, some certain business people change dates, expiration dates, on a particular product, and nothing is happening. And they still send it and give it back to the consumers to consume, and nothing is happening. So for me, it's not about having stamp on our foods. It's about providing a system that checkmates those activities and punishing those that are acting against the set policy. What we lack in this country...
In this case, what policy are you exactly...
What we lack most of the time is that when you do anything wrong, you go away with it, provided you have money. And that's why we see increasingly people are venturing into illegality and trying to make illegality to be legal.
In this case, we're actually looking at people who are smuggling the food outside of the country. The reason why, you justified it, one way or the other, that it has been a business. Both of you actually justified it, that it has been, an age-long business.
Yeah.
It's not the first time food will be moving out of the country to other country. But in the manner that these people went about it, it was concealed. It was not just the normal way. So it was concealed. It means that it's been smuggled.
The ones that are not concealed, are they not passing through the border? That's the question we need to ask. You see, when I watched that Fisayo's investigative journalism stuff, I marvel at several things that happen. And it's not new. They will tell you that if you hear any announcement of confiscation of certain goods by the custom, it's because you've not done what is right. You heard when the federal government came up and said they want to prosecute 2 key custom officers, running into billions of naira that has actually been diverted. We are talking of those that are smuggling, those that are even out there to pay the necessary custom duty expected of them. And there are certain people sabotaging the effort by shortchanging what is meant for the government. What are we doing to them? So I have said times to that number, not only in the area of custom or whatever we do, it's that we don't have a system that checkmates the activity of what everyone is doing. And situation where you even flout the law, or you go and guess what is happening, there is no punishment for anyone to serve as deterrent. So you are able to succeed in what you're doing, and the other people watching looks at it that, what have you done to this man? Nothing. Rather, he comes back, possibly go to certain areas and spend the money, and you look at him as the man is flourishing.
So who do we blame for not the issue of ensuring that there is deterrence, from doing anything that is bad? Because should we continue to blame the government?
No, listen, I think this food shortage or food lack of sufficient food is not just about smuggling or food trafficking alone.
That's right.
Hoarding is there. Okay, we have a challenge of low production that is there. Yeah. Insecurity and all those things, bad road, transportation, those are also feeding into the food shortage as the case, and availability of food. Yeah. The second thing is that hoarding. Quite a large number of people are hoarding this food, those ones that are available, because they want to maximize profit. And there's no system to help us look through that before you now move to smuggling and food trafficking, which then again is a kind of subsidy we're sending to other parts of West Africa and neighboring countries. Those ones are there. But the tidy thing is, you look at what Lagos State is doing now, for instance, before you move to that food stamp. Lagos State went right ahead, initially to Kebbi and got a lake rice. And said, okay, don't worry, produce farmer, we take it. That is an incentive and encouragement for them to get money to produce and then bring to Lagos. Now they've gone to Niger. I said, Niger State, produce food for us. We're going to be an off-taker. So in a way, the farmers are getting money ahead of time to be able to sell in Lagos. So that becomes a very important step. Now, talking about food stamps, okay, which the Senate is talking about, they're trying to see how to distribute food. What we have seen in the Senate is that within the various levels of government, those are our leaders. This one will do his own, that one will do. There's no coordination. There's no coordination. What we want is from you, who is a local government chairman, to the House of Assembly, to the House of Reps, Senator, Minister, within a political space, there should be a synchronicity whereby if you're going to do palliatives, so I don't like using the word palliative because palliative is used for people that are going to die anyway. Okay, so if you're going to do support them, streamlining, let us have a clear understanding. But the big elephant in the room is still corruption. Somebody will say that, oh, you are not a member of my party, but God does not respect party. But and the negative relation we're seeing presently in the country is because we have not streamlined that food trade. Somebody will come and distribute massive rights to this one, and that will come and distribute the same thing because you are not a member of my party. So the CDAs are there. Use the CDAs. Streamline. You can, again, touch a lot of people by that simple act. It's not just sitting down and profiling solution that is not going to work. Then talking about punishment, it's a sad narrative. Any place where you cannot have law and order and process cannot grow. If you like, if there's no law and order in this place, put all the machinery here, put all the best broadcasters here, put all the journalists here. You're not going to get anything. Output will be zero. The starting point of everything in life is still that law, order, and structure. And that's why your body is working.
Well, Sheson, we recently, we've been seeing reactions from Nigerians who said they are hungry due to these food shortages, all of the impacts of the removal of fuel subsidy and the increment of, food items and other items that are needed, basic items. We saw that some people looted Abuja warehouse recently, and there's some different, robbery and all of that going on, all, blaming food crisis. Do you feel that what we saw in Abuja recently and, other places is not exactly as a result of poverty or hunger? Maybe poverty, but not hunger, because roofs were taken away, some electronic appliances were taken away, and other things not exactly related to food. How did you, what's your reading of that event?
Yeah, you see, you said other items were actually picked, not specifically foods. Yeah. But those things can be exchanged for cash, for you to be able to get food. So you are targeting, the major aim is, we want to loot this place. What exactly is in there? Somebody is giving you a tip-off. They've put food here. On getting there, you discover it's not food, it's electronics. Your normal thinking won't tell you that it's about food we've come here to actually pick. It's about, we can still exchange this for money. So that if we get the money, there are people who are ready to buy those goods. You ask yourself the question, all those miscreants that we see on the road that picks up our phone, is it that they actually needed that phone? The answer is no. But there is exchange of that particular asset that they are picking.
Justification of their breaking into the warehouse to loot it, under the guise of hunger.
Ibrahim,
all that they themselves are originally, inclined to do, things that are bad, even if they have money.
Ibrahim, if you have money, you will not think about looting. Hunger, the way it resets your brain.
We know robbery. People actually the way, robbery, even though they have made a killing from the robbery.
Ibrahim, we can have a sane discussion because we are not on that path of an hungry person. Before we were born, there is this saying that an hungry man is an angry man. When a man is angry, can you control some of the things he does? The answer is no. I'm sure my medical expert is here. The adrenaline in you. You can see a man in the house that you are yet to give food. You will ask, is this the same man that each time I give him food, he seems calm, and now that the food is not ready, possibly he's just coming and he's expecting that you should have his food. You see, when you are hungry, you don't think right. And that's why we're saying, if you go to every developed clime, what they try to address is food. When you are food sufficient and you can eat, you can think right. I don't know if you are addressing a report and you are hungry. I don't know whether you can put in your best in that particular thing. We are not supporting that, burgling into warehouses is something that we want to encourage. But you see, if you look at what happened, COVID-19 exposed a lot of things that the politicians and the elites really carried out. There was this private-public partnership with the private companies where they actually made provision of certain things. But the elites and the politicians, what did we see? Ordained some of those things. And what people have actually seen is that these foods are available. He said it. Aside the politicians who have access to this, even the capitalists that have access to funds are actually buying off those things and stocking it so that they can make so much money at the detriment of the citizen. So an hungry person just wants to find a means. See, if everybody is self-sufficient, you will see less people on the street attacking. If you are okay, you will not see people creating level of insecurity. Why are people going into, robbery, terrorism? It's because there is gain. monetary gain to satisfy their want.
Sorry, before you butt in, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what is actually, his position, valid. But then, if you look at, I saw some videos, in the UK, some people queuing for food, showing that the food crisis is something that is almost global now. And if you look at what is going on, the genocide going on in Palestine, the pounding of Palestinians by Israel, against what happened from October 7th, you saw that the Palestinians, they do not have enough food. But when it comes to sharing of food, although you see some disorderliness, but they are not exactly behaving with the way we saw some Nigerians behaving.
Let me put a perspective to this. The concept of fear. What fear does is this: it aggravates poverty and thought process and distort thought processes. Apart from the fact that they're hungry, they don't have assurance of when the next meal is going to come from. For me, going to that extent, breaking into warehouse, robbing vehicles and all those things, the criminality. I mean, honestly, because we're not peculiarly the only person hungry.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world, we're not particularly the only person hungry. And I'm sure that it's not that even the general people, okay, can still reach out and help people if there's an organized system to do that. But there's this concept of fear and neglect, okay? Because in reality, you are in a country, okay? You work your body out, and then you are sitting down, somebody just got an appointment, and lo and behold, it came this and that and that. And you wonder what has happened, okay? You are sending a subliminal messages to people that, grab whatever you grab, because even that guy himself grabbed something. And you are seeing reports, actually, and that's the fear aspect. You are seeing reports that even the person that you are looking up to, that this big man with a lot of money, and then you are seeing, undercurrents of how he, in quote, stole and took money and took advantage of the system. And you are just there. And you saw it, and this guy saw trucks of rice, bags of rice going. And there's an excuse to do that. The excuse to do that is the scarcity of food, food inflation, inflation of energy and power, and the household items not being reachable, salaries being, being eroded. And indeed, 30% unemployment rate. How are you going to think they're going to think? There's massive fear in the land. There's massive insecurity, personal insecurity, physical insecurity, and mental challenge. So now, if you need to address those things, actually, there must be a means to say that even if you don't need to pick that food, you need to bring to that warehouse, you can get this thing at a discounted price. You can get this thing where government gives you a certain amount of money, or where your representative gives you a certain amount of money. So when those interventions are not available, expect anything.
But then the president has actually said that some of these grains should be distributed to people for free. We saw what happened in Lagos, which also led to the death of about 7 or thereabouts. And state governors, the subnationals, I'm not sure how much they are doing, the intervention they've been doing, how it is trickling down to the common man who are really in need of this. Let us speak to that issue, because it's quite we saw what the Borno State governor has been doing in terms of ensuring palliatives for the people, bringing in electric vehicle every day, virtually every day, distributing bags of rice and all of that. How much do you think the state governors have done in their own space to address these issues?
Yeah, well, I will tell you that they are doing their best, but their best may not be good enough. You see, one thing I want to encourage everyone that is high up there as leader is to understand the fact that when you don't do certain things right, you are not safe as an individual, and that's just the message. I give this practical experience. I was in Ibadan a few weeks back, and somebody just identified and said, these are the people that advise the government and put us to where we are today. And I looked at it and I laughed. And I said, if someone can identify me on the screen, and here he's putting my face to it, because he actually called my name, and I don't know him from anywhere. I said, you always give fantastic analysis, but are they listening to you? And somebody was whether his analysis is part of the people chopping the money. That's the word. So they feel that the elites who are struggling on their own to make ends meet benefit from the government, because everyone thinks that it is only those that are in government or are in power have access to good money. So the truth is, state government who are closer to the people, like what some of these states like Lagos, like Oyo states are doing, we need to get to the grassroots. Because as we speak, I don't know whether there is existence of local government. Those are the people that are supposed to be closer to us. When the doctor was saying CDAs, they exist, but how much impact do they have to the people? Because it is through the states to the local government that you get to the CDA. The CDA cannot talk to the state government because they are responsible. So we want a situation where the structure, see, I keep telling individuals that we have good policies, we have good structure, but how much do we do when it comes to implementation? And until we take that thing out of our personal life, greed, it should be I and I and I alone. You just want to live above where everybody look up to you, not, following that path. Those examples that you are referring to in the developed life where people want to kill, they will be ready to if there is assurance and they are confident that if I get here tomorrow, this food they are sharing will still have enough to pick tomorrow. But situation where you start sharing food, you ask everybody, come, we have a warehouse, be very sure that we have more than enough to give to you. You are there. And you started 8 o'clock. By 11, they are shutting down the system. Let me ask you, Ibrahim, you go to parties and you see elites struggling for food. You ask yourself the question, why are they struggling? Because they know that the person that has even organized the party may not even provide enough to give to everybody that are there. And you'll be hearing, where you should just sit comfortably. You are already on the table, neatly dressed, but you are like, you've not served me. They know they are serving, but the man is asking because he knows if he doesn't call for the food, he may not get any food at that party because he knows that part of the reason why he's there. So there is this trust deficit.
Do you not feel that, that analogy you painted, do you not feel it's all about the mindset? If you have self-dignity, you probably would think, well, I have food at home and I don't have to eat here. If I'm served good, if I'm not served.
You have self-dignity when you are self-sufficient. You go to most of the time. Most of the time when I go to party, most of the time when I go to party, I hardly eat. Because before I leave the house, I tell my wife, can you please give me food? But somebody, do you know there are people you call I ear and I branch? They are there to fulfill the obligation because they know.
They are the best dressed.
Of course, you should thank God that you have that exposure. So somebody best dressed that you have not invited and is on that table, do you think is there to give you money or to come and eat the food? And you want to carry the food. So we are talking about trust deficit. In situation where we have good policies, but there is no walkthrough in such a way that you can be guaranteed that if the food finishes today, let's come tomorrow. Situation where it's okay, we are done for today, please make sure you resume here 9 o'clock tomorrow, and you are coming to say, no, we are sorry, we can't start now because we actually exhausted our stock yesterday and we are expecting more. And the man coming with the expectation of having something is not getting it. Right. So I think the government needs to work in building the confidence of the people by making sure that your yes is yes. When you call out people to do, and that's what I expect the subnationals to start doing now, in such a way that they can earn the trust of the people to create more sanity, security-wise, in the environment. Because there is no how you will see people living flamboyant life and you're suffering and you'll be comfortable to believe whatever they tell you.
Well, there are so many things that are interconnected, that are leading to this crisis. Not just food inflation. You also mentioned electricity. You talked about some other reasons why we are having this problem. But then I think I understand that we need to just quickly take a break and then we'll continue from where we're leaving off. Just stay with us on TVC Breakfast. We'll be back.
Champs, they use energy at school.
Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support energy release.
Milo!
Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. I've been speaking with Tuyi Mebanwodu, who is the publisher, health thinker, Health Nika and Public Affairs Analyst Sheson Okwande. We've been talking about the issue of food crises and trucks that are being intercepted by the EFCC and also the Nigerian Customs Service. Tui, I was going to ask you about, all of these interconnected, issues, leading to what we are experiencing currently. If you look at a recent report which says farmers in North pay bandits up to 100,000 naira to farm, and that's a problem. That's someone who has the money to pay bandits. What we know so far is that the issue of banditry, is being, tackled, insurgency and all of that, they've been tackled. But we also heard that Boko Haram, attacked some people in Borno just yesterday or the day before yesterday. How much are we doing to help the farmers? One, in giving them loan. Two, in ensuring that they are able to farm so that we'll have enough to eat.
The environment is very, very toxic, so sad. Not just planting. First of all, you know that actually the food basket of Nigeria is around the middle belt. And then look at the insecurity in middle belt from Niger to Benue. It's really horrendous, okay? And then for them to plant, first of all, probably they have to actually look for their own seed, cultivate their land, put their input, such an input that they have to really sacrifice a lot for. For them to plant, they have to pay. For them to nurture the plant, they can be kidnapped. For them to harvest, they have to pay. After all this, they have to transport the food, to market at an exorbitant cost price. While they're on the road, all sorts of taxes will come upon them, illegal taxes. I mean, you can just stay at the beggar here and see how people are pursuing people bringing yam and coal to Lagos. Okay? Illegal taxes across the state. So you can see that in reality, and governments just fold their arms and look away from all those things. Now, is it possible for government itself actually to create a secured environment for farming for those people, whether at the state level, especially at the state level, a secured farming, with government's help, secured farming environment for them. And then, in addition, buy most of these things from them. Apart from those support, so that they are sure that when we produce, we are going to easily buy it. And even choose to transport some of them to hubs where the food can be further distributed. Good enough, the train is moving around reasonably and constructed. So, I mean, you put on train, of course, the train can still be hijacked anyway. So, anything is possible.
But do we really still have a lot of people going into farming? Because there are some produce we used to see, or even byproducts we used to see that we hardly see, again. We understand that some, youth nowadays, what they want to do is to get white-collar jobs. They don't want to go into farming. Is it entirely true that we don't have enough farmers as we used to back in the day?
It's not just about number. It's about the quality itself, because the implements are still very, very crude and far in between, And then even the quality of the seed actually not good enough. And then we're not seeing incentives for people to do farming. At the initial stage of Buhari government, we thought that we're going to get sufficient rice production and all that. When Lagos State signed agreement with the KB to produce lake rice, we thought, that this is a very good thing. But all of them frizzled away with the level of insecurity. And then quite a lot of people who prefer to take money away from this country and put in Dubai, put in UAE, put in the UK, everywhere, can actually, figure how to do, extensive farming. It is so shameful that people that are actually doing big farms in Nigeria are Asians, They still come to this country and do farming. Yeah. They are Asians. And of course, I saw an experience in Ibadan, in Oyo State, where I heard that is happening. So the question is this: we must be able to see a kind of protection for people that are farming, pick their produce when it's ripe, and then store and then distribute. Yeah. And then, we just reiterate the fact that the subnational, we must get to the CDA level. The CDA knows everybody around, their community. They know how they can even push the food system. If we can conduct election in the most remote part of this nation, why can't we then be able to distribute food?
Because of our time. Let me take this final thought from you. The government, is saying that it will commence the Polaku initiative which is a large-scale resettlement program to address the root causes of incessant clashes between farmers and herders in various flashpoints nationwide. That Fulako is called Fulani Code of Conduct, which is an integral part of their culture and ethical value system specific to the Fulanis. Do you feel that this will, to a large extent, as against the Ruga initiative that was that was introduced by the former government, do you feel this would help in stemming the tide, the scourge of farmer herder crisis that we experience in different places?
Well, Ibrahim, this is my perspective. I keep asking myself why we tame certain rules and policy addressing this set of people. There is a common ground that you can use to address every businessman, but we give them, to me, more priority that is needed. If you are coming as an herdsman, we tend to give them more popularity. I see that business is much more than a medical doctor.
Or a fisherman.
Or a fisherman.
Yes,
or even a farmer.
So it's something that we must actually use the general rule that is obtainable for every businesses and stop these Ruga, Pinnacle, whatever name you want to call it. The truth of it is that if you must venture into that particular business of rearing, these animals, there are rules that must govern you. And you adhere to it, you cannot adhere to it, you face the consequence that is actually there. You cannot be using your own. As a broadcaster, can you use your business to affect a medical doctor? The answer is no, because there are rules and laws governing you, and in situations where you have to go out of that band-aid, there are penalties attached to it. I think that's the route we need to go. It's just my honest truth, because if we don't tame this act of allowing our farmers to work, as we're talking now, this is just a backlash of farmers not going to farm as at last year. Now, we are not even planting anything. Don't go to the aspect of mechanized farming, because you're saying, are people venturing into farming? With the cruel way of we still doing it, a lot of money was actually invested through the last administration. So I feel what we need to do now is sincerity on the part of our leadership. Follow through some of those things that we're actually giving out. Anyone who intercepts the flow of this policy, let's look for a way to punish that.
That's right.
And that is the only way we can actually move on and get the best that is expected for our economy.
Gentlemen. Sheson Kwade, public affairs analyst, and as well as Tuyi Mebandu, publisher, health thinker. Thank you so much for your insight on this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for